Welcome. You are joining the first ever Eve TV show. And I am Dr. Leslie Wells. I'm a holistic healing facilitator in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm joined today by guests Audrey Scully and Nominono Isaacs. We today are spanning the world with this show. This is a new movement that's happening, and the name of the movement is Eve Consciousness. Welcome. And the name of this show is You Create Your World. And so today and every Wednesday around the world, we're going to be bringing for you upliftment, information, inspiration, and knowledge about how you can step into the driver's seat of your life. It means that you're going to learn how to understand your role as a soul to be a divine creator. You are made in the image of the divine living God, and you are able to move into your creative capacities now like never before. So welcome. So today I wanted to speak a bit about initially the understandings of Eve consciousness. So I want to give us initially on this show a little bit of understanding of the history of the human consciousness journey and remind us all that our story starts in the Garden of Eden, okay? Many of us have been taught this in different ways, but if we go back and look at the Garden of Eden, humanity, and I will say now, we consciously dove into a realm called the realm of knowledge of good and evil. Realm of knowledge of good and evil. This is what we call polarity consciousness. So we chose to participate in a beautiful, perfect plan for the expansion of all that is. And we raised our hands, those souls who have incarnated into human bodies. We chose to be a part of a divine plan here on earth, a journey through human bodies, human minds, and a human evolution here on earth. And when we started, we partook of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So we brought into our consciousness and even into our physical bodies the experience of a range moving from one extreme to another, a range between light and darkness, heaven and hell in our perceptions, pain and pleasure. And this range has its pure, perfect purposes for our advancement. It was perfectly planned, perfectly presented, and we perfectly stepped into our full range of potential experience here on earth. This is what gives us the free will zone that we're in. So imagine going into an ice cream store that has Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors, okay? And when you walk into the door, there's not just vanilla. There's not just one choice. There's all these different choices to make, to taste and look at and compare and smell and decide, what flavor shall I have today? And there might be some flavors that we just don't like at all, okay? Such is life here in polarity realm of earth, okay? We have so many choices. We have so much to look upon. Some things we like, some things we don't like. And what do we get as we compare and we look at this world around us and experience it? We taste all the flavors. We hone preferences. We develop our abilities, our first foundational abilities to become wise, knowing creators. Because to create, you must first make a choice on what to create. To create, you must first have an idea, a plan, a desire in your heart. And the clearer that desire is, the clearer one is on what they intend, the more easily they can bring it through. So this is our range of polarity. We get inspired into new ideas to create as we come upon our experience in this world. When we taste a flavor we don't like, or even a flavor we like a little bit, but we think, oh, wouldn't that be good if it had a little chocolate syrup on top, right? We can get inspired to new ideas of how to improve our world. And that is one of the biggest gifts of being in polarity consciousness. And that's where we started, okay? Now understand that when we were in polarity consciousness, raw, pure polarity causes a lot of hitting up on things we don't like, especially in the early days. we didn't know much about how to direct our path. And so we're just kind of, in a way, blindly bumping into walls at times. Okay, so with that, it means that there was a lot of harsh realities for us in pure polarity. There was a lot of hitting up against our own resistance to life itself, and at times pain. Okay, at times there was pain. And so that pain and suffering that we endured through the era of pure polarity consciousness, and understand this is the era represented by the Old Testament that discusses a God that represents itself as an angry God. This is an era of judgment. This is an outside in era where we had no connection with our own inner being. We had no connection. We were just infants in this journey. We had no connection with our own sense of truth and morality. And so what was appropriate and was set up for us was an outside-in morality. We were given 10 commandments. We were given the law. And with the law, we were given pleasurable reward and painful punishment. And life rewards and punishes us in a way all the time. As we make choices that we resist, and as we go out of our alignment, we hit up against the brick walls of life. We hit up against the flat tires of life, and life gets difficult. Okay, and so we're able to receive the messages of that pain, kind of the punishments of life. We're able to get and have reflected to us when we've moved out of our pure, perfect, joyful path. And that helps us direct ourselves back into alignment where pleasurable abundance comes in every way, okay? And in the Old Testament, there were outside-in gifts and rewards for being in alignment. Those who were walking in the God way were receiving gifts. They were receiving abundance. They were, from the outside in, they were experiencing blessings. Okay, material wealth even. So the Old Testament and polarity consciousness in its pureness was very much an outside-in world. Okay, we were told from the outside how to behave. We were experiencing a God that was completely outside of us, and we were hitting up against the realities of life in a way that caused a lot of outer reflection. So outer pain and loss, and being stoned to death when we got it wrong, okay? Penalties that were very outwardly imposed, and rewards that were very outwardly imposed as well, okay? The blessings of life brought great abundance. We have the stories of men like Job, who had many riches and a beautiful, loving family that then was taken away from him. The Bible talks about a story where God and Satan, like two buddies bellying up to the bar and having a beer together, it shows us that God and Satan were collaborating together, that these two seeming oppositional forces were actually collaborating. They had a talk. Satan said to God, "Hey, buddy, look, I'm looking down at your guy Job, and I know you think he's the man, but I'm going to bet you that I can throw him off balance. I'm going to bet you that he's not really lined up with you the way you think he is." And God says, "Oh, go on then. You can't kill him, but go ahead and do as you will. We're going to have a little game here, and I'm going to wager a little bet about Job because I think he's the man." And so from there, Job's life changed drastically, and all of the goodness that he had on the outer world was pulled away. And Job held fast to his devotion to his divine source. Job held fast to his faith and his belief. So let's say this: Job held fast to his focus. In spite of what was happening on the outside, he kept his eye on his target. He kept his eye on truth and what he believed in. He kept his eye on his divine source. And in holding that focus, his life ended up coming back into multiplied abundance and great blessings at the end of the story. But I wanted to express that that story is one story that shows us the collaboration between the poles in polarity consciousness, that ultimately all is designed for our benefit, that ultimately all collaborates together for our growth and advancement, that ultimately everything is working together for good and for the higher plan, even when at times life looks challenging, life can feel painful. Ultimately, there's a higher good coming through, and this is the day for you to understand that we are never and have never been victims, that we are here on purpose, intentionally, and divinely, infinitely blessed in this journey. And now is the time for us to understand and move into the power of who we truly are. So let's continue with the story of the era of polarity consciousness, which came to a shift by the time humanity had advanced far enough. Understand that as we suffer over time, as we experience pain in life and feel our painful emotions and physical feelings, in time, we begin to have born within us the seeds of compassion. So when we've experienced pain enough and our brain has developed neural pathways and memories of pain, and then we impose pain on someone else, and we look at someone else who we cause pain for, we can ultimately remember our own pain when we see the pain in another. And that memory of ourselves, when we look upon another, is like the lesson that Jesus taught when the community was standing around a woman who they judged and who they felt had acted wrongly. They were holding up stones to stone her to death, which was the law, the Old Testament polarity consciousness law. And Jesus said, "You who hasn't sinned, you who hasn't done the same as her, you throw the first stone." And they all looked at her, and they saw in her themselves. They saw in her the expression of their own faults and their own ability to miss the mark and be out of alignment. And they put their stones down. They realized that she and they were the same. And by the end of polarity consciousness, we had many humans who were awakening to this sense of connection between themselves and others. They were awakening to a sense of feeling their own pain when they seen someone else in pain. Empathy, compassion, these were the roots of unconditional love being born to the earth. And that was the beginning of the era of Christ consciousness. So polarity consciousness, the era of the law, was the era of mind, of calculation, of masculine energy, and of judgment and justice. Christ consciousness was the second era, born to this world through human flesh, brought to us the gift of life eternal, meaning understanding of who we are as eternal beings, knowing that there is no such thing as death, and that we are infinite eternal beings flowing through limited physical bodies. It is the era of awakening of the heart, and it is the era of awakening of a relationship between ourselves and the God within us, to where we no longer look outside of ourselves to our divine source, but we understand that it flows through us, that we are vessels of that we are source essence being expressed through physical form on this planet. And as we understand that, we are moving into the heart. We are moving into the heart of God and being expressions of divine love, love that is unconditional, love that is unlimited. Christ consciousness brought the era of forgiveness, of seeing in another your own self, and forgiving them as we forgive ourselves, understanding that all that is and all that will be is all for our benefit and our movement forward in our journey. We are gaining gifts from every moment, from every breath, and from every experience we see, even those experiences that are hard to look upon. There is a beautiful higher plan happening. And as we look upon the painful parts of life, and we gaze upon those painful parts with the eyes of love, if we gaze upon those painful moments with the eyes of higher understanding, and we bring forgiveness in our hearts for that which seems appalling, when we bring acceptance and a higher understanding to all that is on earth, we are creating a new world. And now is the era that we were finally destined to move into. As Christ consciousness has been here for over 2,000 years, and we have been enjoying the two different elements, the masculine and the feminine, the gifts of polarity and the gifts of Christ consciousness, the gifts of the law and the gifts of the love. Then now we are able to bring them together and integrate those gifts, and those gifts together integrated result in our greatest gifts and our greatest potential coming through now in the era of Eve consciousness. Eve, the letters EVE, stand for energetic vibrational exchange. We are ready, and it is time for us to understand the realities that have been occurring in this world, in this life, from the beginning of time. And that reality is that we emit an energy, we emit a vibrational frequency, we emit a non-physical message at all times. And as that message that we are emitting goes into the field, the energetic whole of this reality, that field brings back to us a match to the message that we have expressed. And so, as we understand that, then we move into the possibility of taking responsibility for what we are emitting, taking responsibility for the frequency we hold, for the signal that we are sending out, for the message that we are vibrating out to the universe, to this world, and to God. The message that we are sending out will always bring back its perfectly formed echo. So every moment of your life is echoing the message that you are sending out. And in a way that this mind can't fully understand yet, we are directly connected with everything that we perceive and experience in our life. We are able to reach and touch through what we emit every circumstance that we are aware of in our life. Even if it's a circumstance having to do with people you've never met before. Those people holding the stones that Jesus spoke to may have never met that woman that they were ready to blame and condemn. But when Jesus said, "You are that," they were able to get, somehow I'm connected to her. She and I are the same. We now understand scientifically that there is a matrix that we live in, that we're all connected through an invisible web, an energetic field, and the messages that we are sending out into this field are moving and calibrating what's being brought into our experience. Even those things that we only hear about or see from afar, it's in our field. And if it's in your field, then you have access to it. If it's in your field, you can look upon it and hold within you a higher view that brings healing to that circumstance, to that event, to that person, you have the power. It's the infinite power of the divine source that flows through you. It's the power of love that comes through your heart. So today, the message that we want to introduce to you is joy is the key. Our guests today are both members of a beautiful global group that have come together with these understandings spoken in one way or another. We as a group understand that joy is the key to success in this life, that joy is the key to transforming your world, that joy is the key to stepping into your role as a creator, intentionally bringing about the most joyous life that your mind can imagine. And that is the key too, that your mind can imagine. And together, we are a group who connect every day, and we remind each other of what joy there is in life to think about. We remind each other, we share our experiences and the joy that we are accessing from what we look upon in life. We help each other hold the focus, which brings the power to create heaven on earth. That's what we're doing. And so first, I would like to introduce to you the leader of this powerful global group from the UK, from England. This is Audrey Scully, and I will speak of Audrey. Audrey is a catalyst who helps you expand your spirituality, a guide who helps you gently on your path or journey, and generally a joyful, uplifting soul. I will also say that I know that Audrey is a powerful force of healing. She's leading this international group called Joy is the Key. Welcome, Audrey. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for everything you've said so far. It's wonderful.
Well, I know that you're a leader in this movement of consciousness. You're a leader, whether you know, guys, words don't teach, okay? And words don't really dictate what is. Eve consciousness is just a name for something that is universal, and it's invisible. And I know that you are carrying the messages and the frequency of Eve consciousness with what you're doing, Audrey. And I wonder if you could share today with our global audience, what are the keys to Joy is the Key? How did you put together that group? And what would you say the elements of success are that cause this group to keep growing and expanding and holding this beautiful, joyous frequency?
Right, okay. Thank you for allowing me to express this. It's all started with me listening to Abraham Hicks about a year ago, or perhaps a year and a half.
Okay, so this is a global spiritual teacher.
Seminar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I ended up going on a cruise around the Mediterranean, and the lady I was sharing a cabin with brought my awareness to a mastermind group, and I researched the mastermind group, and I just thought, why don't we have one on the ship? And I knew that my intention would be that we carry on with this group after the ship. So that's what we did, and we had a group of beautiful souls, beautiful women. We got together, very powerful, and from the group we did lots of meditations, and we did a lot of focusing on positive, what we wanted, positive outcomes. And after the group, we are connected every day through WhatsApp and Facebook. And as you said, it's just so wonderful, and I keep we keep the group very joyful. So if people are a bit feeling a little bit under the weather or a little bit down, they know they can come to the group and we will uplift them. We put lovely how we're feeling on, and how beautiful the day is, and how wonderful we are feeling, and then we have lots of laughs and jokes as well. But it is a very uplifting, and what is so beautiful is that there's so many everyday people putting on how wonderful it is that they're in this group. So it's just such an honor to be leading the group. And I don't consider myself a leader. I think we're all, up there. And every one of us has got, an input and can contribute to the group in a beautiful way.
Awesome. Maybe I could call you an organizer, because you do a beautiful job of keeping us organized and pulling everything together. So, I want to acknowledge you, Audrey, for really helping to create this community. And I believe that this is one of the very powerful parts of the era we're in now. It is an era of community. So thank you for that. Now, I also want to introduce today Nomanono Isaacs, who is also living in the UK right now. Is that right, Nomanono?
Mm-hmm.
You're living in the UK, and you're originally from South Africa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes,
beautiful. And Nomanono is the sunshine of my soul, okay? Nomanono is
my soul, not yours.
and of mine. If it's your soul, then it's my soul, because we are one.
Yes.
So Nomanono is the sunshine of her own soul and of many souls, because she's bringing such powerful light. Now, Nomanono is also a wise communicator of understandings of spiritual concepts. I know that she has brought through a very powerful meditation that I have been party to. And so I'm going to say Nomanono is a gifted healer who is also helping to bring gifts to the world that actually help us move into our potential. So thank you, Nomanono, for being with us. Nomanono is also a part of this Joy is the Key group. So what is the key, Joy, in your world? I'm sorry, what is the key, the joy, Nomanono, in your world that helps you advance forward and be in your role as soul?
Well, for me, I think I want to just say, first of all, to the viewers, please don't think that all the time we are joyful, everything is joyous every day. No, we have our ups and downs. We have, like everybody, like every human being, there are moments when everything is really flowing really easily, and there are moments when things are not bad.
Yeah.
What we have learned for ourselves through experiences is that we then don't focus. We focus less on the things that are putting us down, so we always uplift ourselves. And the other thing that I do personally is self-talk, because self-talk is very important. The things that I say to myself, and because if they are put downs, of course, that means then I'm putting myself down, and it's not good. So if I say things that are uplifting, are positive, I soon switch on to a positive way, a feeling that's going to feel good. I feel good, because our aim is basically to feel good. Because when you feel good, that leads you to so many things that are sort of like joy, basically. Joy and happiness, anything that's going to uplift your soul, your spirit, do it. Even if it's a memory, when you come across something that doesn't feel really that brilliant, just think of something that made you appreciate. What is it that once you appreciated, it made you feel good when you appreciate? Because appreciation is also very, very important. Thankfulness, being thankful, being appreciative, and that's the fastest way to actually feeling happy and feeling joyful.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And it is true. We haven't stepped out of polarity consciousness. It will always be here on planet Earth. Okay. And so we're going to have good times and bad times. But our power comes by understanding that we have the ability to move ourselves back into joy, back into feeling good, and that somehow magically, as if, okay, feeling good on the inside causes the world to start feeling better on the outside. Your circumstances that are in alignment with you feeling good are going to show up when you generate that good feeling, because input into the field equals output. What you put out is what you're going to get. So override when life is going into a downward spiral. If you can bring yourself into a place of meditation, prayer, going into helping yourself feel better, then your circumstances are going to change. Why? Because you feed energy into what you focus on, and it grows. So if you focus on joy, joy is going to grow in your life and your circumstances. So folks, I'm going to close today's show with a very short scripture which says, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God." Blessings to you. See you next week, 12 noon Eastern Time, 5 p.m. UK time. Welcome around the world to our weekly show, all. Blessings and walk sacred.
Thank you.